working for you.
Good evening and welcome to the news at 7. I'm Rafael Sanchez. The heat and the humidity are holding their grip over central Indiana. A live look, as you can see, from our Weather Now camera network as we get ready to see that sunset in a couple of hours, but it's still oh so warm out there. Let's check in right now with Storm Team 6 meteorologist Kyle Mounts. Kyle?
And Rafael, those temperatures warm quickly during the day and they fall slowly during the evening here. We made it to 90, third day in a row for us, and it looks like we may add another one tomorrow. Right now, the heat index is still in the 90s at 93 with a temperature of 87. Feels, though, close to 100 degrees in Muncie right now. Fairly quiet on satellite and radar. We do have a couple of isolated downpours, though, here eastern Shelby County that's developed, and also one eastern Rush County. These will be sliding off to the south and east, but I do think any rain is going to stay fairly limited for us this evening. Partly cloudy skies. Our sun sets at 9:17, and those temperatures still in the 80s through 10 o'clock.
Kyle, thank you so much. New state laws are taking effect today, including one prompted by Call 6 Investigates that will help protect your children and their lungs. The new law requires the state to educate schools about testing for a cancer-causing gas called radon. Starting today, the State Department of Health has to send school superintendents recommendations about radon testing. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny found out that the state's nearly 300 public school corporations, only 4% have tested for radon in the last decade. Chris Ferguson is a project manager with Protect Environmental, a company that tests Indiana schools and businesses for radon.
Nobody's going to really do anything until enough people show a concern. So if people are concerned, we recommend that you talk to your principal or your superintendent or your school board, even your teachers, because your teachers are at school longer than the kids, so they're actually more affected.
Indiana does not require schools to test for radon. A bill mandating radon testing failed to get a hearing this past legislative session. The EPA recommends schools test at least once every 5 years. About 600 people in Indiana die from radon-related lung cancer every year. Our Aaron Lish is working for you tonight with a look at some of the other new state laws that could impact you and your family.
There are multiple laws going into effect today, and here are some of the more notable ones signed by Governor Eric Holcomb. After this anti-Semitic graffiti at a Carmel synagogue, there was a major push for a hate crime law. Now there is one. A judge can consider bias due to a crime victim's real or perceived traits. It is being criticized, though, for not clearly covering age, sex, or gender identity. And for those who are wrongfully incarcerated, they have the opportunity to receive $50,000 for each year behind bars once a conviction is vacated. Another big one is about Hoosier teens. Pregnant 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to get routine treatment even if their parents aren't around. And after the tragic crash killing 3 Indiana kids at a bus stop, the penalty will increase for passing a school bus with its stop arm out. And finally, high schoolers must take the naturalization test. This is taken by people who want to be U.S. citizens, but this doesn't affect a student's graduation requirements. So kids, get to studying. Aaron Lish, RTV6.
And you can find all of these new laws in detail in this story on the RTV6 app, as well as our website, theindychannel.com. Health officials are seeking to take the sting from menacing mosquitoes. The state health department says 2 Indiana counties, Elkhart in northern Indiana and Clark in the south, have tested positive for the new West Nile virus carried by mosquitoes. No human cases have been detected so far this year, but the health department expects more West Nile activity as the summer continues. Remember, mosquitoes need just a small amount of standing water to breed, so clear your yard where possible and use bug spray that contains DEET. An emotional day in southern Indiana. Hundreds of people gathered at the funeral of 11-year-old Isabel Meyer. Isabel died last week when a tree fell on her while she was hiking at Camp Coke in Perry County. She was camping there with her Girl Scout troop. Dozens of Girl Scouts were at Isabel's funeral today. They said goodbye with their signature salute.
We've been in 13 minutes, and we've gone from 74 degrees to 80 to 95. So this is not sitting in the sun. Our big thermometer here is sitting in the sun over 100 degrees.
It is all about stopping the preventable. Law enforcement leaders use themselves as examples today to show what happens inside a very hot car. Wayne Township Fire Department Captain Mike Pruitt and Sergeant John Perrine with the Indiana State Police held their third annual hot car demonstration along with retired NBA player Scott Pollard. All three of the men stayed inside a car parked in the sun with the AC off for as long as they could physically stand it. They live streamed the whole thing to talk about what they were feeling and why they think more people are forgetting children and pets in their vehicles.
We're so busy these days. I mean, we're so busy with activities with our kids or the job. And I think that's, when we looked at the 20-year and these numbers are up, I think it's just because we have more distractions in life.
Last year, across the country, 50 people, including kids, died in hot vehicles. That does not include cases where people were rescued and hospitalized. Law enforcement wants to get that number down to 0. The men spent less than 20 minutes in the car. It got up to 112 degrees inside of that vehicle today. The director of Indiana's Department of Child Services says a lawsuit against DCS, she calls it puzzling and misleading. The department did not comment on the lawsuit when RTV6 first told you about it last week, but Director Terry Stigdon released a statement and video today. That class action lawsuit was filed by a group of foster children with disabilities. It accused the state of failing to protect its most vulnerable children. Stigdon says DCS has made several recent improvements, including smaller caseloads for family case managers.
Put frankly, DCS is simply not the agency it used to be, and continuing to rely on an outdated, inflammatory account is misleading and harmful to children and their families. The child welfare system is far from perfect, but Indiana is steadfastly moving in the right direction.
Stigdon says the agency answers calls to its child abuse and neglect hotline within 15 seconds on average. That's despite a 20% increase in calls since the year 2015. If you're looking for a used car, be careful if you make a deal through Craigslist. The Indiana Attorney General's office has issued a warning about car dealers posing as private sellers on Craigslist. They are not allowed to do that and could be violating Indiana's Deceptive Consumer Sales Act. Dealers may try to trick you by making the listing look like an amateur job, but then direct you to their commercial car lot. We have more on how to spot these illegal postings in this story on our website, theindychannel.com. It's not looking good for a popular piece of electronic art on Mass Avenue. You see, the Indianapolis Cultural Trail hoped to raise more than $260,000 by the end of June to keep Anne dancing. A dance party held Saturday raised another $5,000, but the Keep Anne Dancing website shows only 75% of the goal was reached. The money is needed to buy new display units designed for 24-hour use. And dancing was initially supposed to be a temporary installation. The Indianapolis Cultural Trail says money is still coming in, and they'll announce a fundraising total and Anne's future in the coming weeks. President Trump says unless major changes on border policy are made, massive deportation raids will begin this weekend. The president had previously postponed the raids at the urging of Democrats. ABC's Trevor Ault is in Washington with the latest tonight.
President Trump renewing his threat, saying after the 4th of July, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents will begin deporting thousands of undocumented immigrants.
They're going back to their countries. They go back home. ICE is going to be apprehending them and bringing them back.
The president had previously said the raids would result in the removal of, quote, millions of illegal aliens, though an administrative official later said 2,040 people have been identified for expedited removal. But it was a call from Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi that reportedly got the president to institute a 2-week delay.
Children are scared. You're scaring the children of America.
But with Congress now on a holiday recess, a legislative solution is almost certainly not happening. Instead, members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus visiting a detention facility in El Paso, which they describe as dehumanizing.
We need a system that works, that is humane, and that is compassionate, and that keeps families together.
We're also hearing from a 12-year-old migrant child who herself spent a dozen days in a detention facility. In a video recorded by her attorney, she says children slept on the floor and were given little food, adding, some children were sick. There they said they'd take them to hospitals, but they wouldn't take them. Those members of Congress that visited the El Paso detention facility said they were told that some of the officers weren't giving water to some of the women detained there, instead telling them to drink out of the toilets. Trevor Ault, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. economy continues to break records. July expected to mark 121 straight months of economic growth. That is more than 10 years in a row, the longest in U.S. history. Economists say the expansion has been small at times, which has helped it last so long. Some experts say the slow growth shows just how bad that recession was years ago. Next on the news at 7, a vacation hotspot, one of the most popular destinations out of Indianapolis, is raising more questions and a call to investigate the island over deaths and illnesses. Details next. Kyle?
And if you need to get some of that yard work done, you might want to do it sooner than later. We're going to talk about some rising rain chances. You're watching RTV6 News at 7.
Back to School Family Day and Chiotis. This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Now at 7, investigate the island. That's the call from lawmakers concerned about the deaths and illnesses in the Punta Cana resort area of the Dominican Republic. At least 10 Americans have died in the last year. Rock musician Rick Springfield canceled a show set for November on the island out of concern for the safety and the well-being of his fans, his band, and crew. The State Department says that despite high-profile cases, there has not been an increase in tourist deaths. Punta Cana is one of the most popular getaways out of Indianapolis International Airport. Secondhand smoking can be dangerous, and now there's a warning about the harm from secondhand alcohol. It impacts 1 in 5 Americans. A new study by the Alcohol Research Group found that 53 million people experienced harm caused by someone else's drinking. The harm ranged from property damage to emotional and physical abuse. Researchers believe the impact of alcohol use could be greater since the study only looked at 1 year's time frame for the people involved in this situation. It is now time to check your forecast. It is hot. It is humid. Welcome to summer in Indianapolis.
And July.
It's July.
It's July in Indiana, Raphael. Yeah, and we're getting...
it's what we do. We just... Live with the AC.
Hotter than a firecracker, right? Is that what they say?
He's on it today.
As we go a little closer to the July 4th holiday, we're going to talk about that forecast for you. Right now, we got 87 in Indy, 90 in Kokomo, and 83 in Bloomington. Temperatures recovering a little bit there after you had some rain earlier in the day. You're dry now, and so is much of central Indiana. We do have a couple of isolated downpours, though, here into portions of Rush County. Had some brief lightning with this one, so that's going to be an issue here for us. Want to stay indoors, allow these downpours to drift off to the south and southeast. But again, for most of us, it's going to be a warm, stuffy evening, and that's going to continue right through the overnight with temperatures into the lower 70s tomorrow morning. As we check out your Tuesday forecast here, hour by hour, we've got those temperatures that quickly recover, get back into the middle 80s by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So your lunchtime temperature, middle to upper 80s, and afternoon highs, it will be close to the 90-degree mark once again. Here's TrueCast, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Tomorrow, we've got a couple of isolated downpours. Those will be driven by the heating of the afternoon. So we'll start to see them filling in a little bit more than what we had today, especially over the southeast half of central Indiana. And then tomorrow night, best focus for some rain is going to be over extreme northern portions of the area. Otherwise, yeah, those temperatures are going to continue to climb here back into the 90s for a 4th day in a row in Indianapolis at 91, Lafayette at 91 as well. But it's going to feel like the middle to even upper 90s tomorrow because the humidity, that came back this afternoon, and that is going to carry over into the day tomorrow as well. 4th of July forecast, 87 will be the high. Some storms are possible. I don't think it's going to be a washout here, but we are going to maybe have to adjust our plans a little bit for the holiday. 7-day planning forecast. Scattered thunderstorms on Thursday, 87 there. We'll get into the middle 80s for the weekend ahead as we have that chance for some showers and storms lingering until Monday.
So do you think think July will be a wet month. I mean, June was just like a sponge.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a little less widespread, so that's going to be the good news here for us, but still some tropical downpours.
Sign on the dotted line. I want that in the contract form.
Okay,
Thank you,
we'll work on that one.
Appreciate it. Coming up in Hiring Hoosiers, next to the doctors and nurses, they play a critical role in your health care. What's being done to fill that need? Plus, the oohs and the ahs of fireworks may lead to an unrelated job. The new approach one staffing company is taking to find workers in demand. Hiring Hoosiers next and only on RTV6. Hiring Hoosiers, connecting you to the new jobs and ways to grow your career. One of the most in-demand areas at IU Health is a medical assistant. RTV6's Amanda Starantino shows us what created a help for jobs, employees to land a perfect job.
So we'll see you then next Thursday, the 28th at 2 o'clock.
They are the first person you talk to on the phone, setting up your appointment. And the first person with you in the exam room.
I'm the smile when you walk through the door and you are maybe a little nervous. I'm maybe the calm that you can find when people are nervous about seeing the doctor.
Erica Tyndall has been a medical assistant with IU Health for 14 years.
I really enjoyed people and helping people and feeling like I'm bringing something to their lives when they come to our office.
Medical assistants are there for both the patient and the physician to keep the office running smoothly.
They're crucial. You know, we could not get through a day without having the medical assistant here in the office. They are who are helping us, you know, room the patients, run our schedule, stay organized, stay on time.
IU Health employs about 1,000 MAs across the state, and in 2018, IU Health hired 360 more, and about 120 positions are still available.
It is hard to find medical assistants. I think sometimes people are unaware that we need them.
Mandy Bates with IU Health says she is always looking for compassionate people to fill these roles. With or without a degree, MAs do need to go through a program that can take anywhere from 9 to 24 months. Once that is complete, IU Health is ready to hire, even without certification.
Once we get them hired, if they are not certified, we're going to help them through a career ladder so that they have opportunity to learn and grow in their jobs. We pre-fund a certification exam, set them up with a coach, make them successful on taking their exam. We have the highest pass rate in the country on CMA exams, and then they can get promoted.
Bates says it's a job that you can stick with long-term or use as a gateway to other positions in the healthcare field. And it's a position that will always be in demand.
We think the medical assistant is sort of the glue to making the clinic run well.
Amanda Starantino reporting medical assistants at IU Health make anywhere from $14 to $20 an hour with benefits. There is a career ladder, as you just heard, to help MAs pass the certification test and advance to higher paying positions. IU Health also offers tuition assistance to its MAs to go back to school and for further training, including to become a registered nurse. You can find more information about this program at hiringhoosiers.com, and there you could also find all of our other stories that you can catch up on with all kinds of links and information. Hoosiers looking for a job in Bartholomew County can talk to recruiters while enjoying Independence Day festivities this week. This is pretty cool. On Wednesday night, Kelly Services will be recruiting at the Columbus Fireworks Display. They're looking to fill manufacturing and office clerical jobs. Kelly Services will be at the Q-Mix Fireworks Show Wednesday night from 5:30 to 10:30 in the evening at the Columbus Municipal Airport. All you need to do to apply on the spot is provide your contact information. It's something that people will talk about when you see it for months. You got to see this. Take a look, and it's not what you think. The storm's impact and what it left behind surprised many. In a live look now from our Weather Now camera system, what a beautiful view of downtown Indianapolis. Kyle's forecast is next.
Ashley Home Store, now open in Whitestown.
Finally, on the news at 7, a bizarre sight in Mexico, especially during the summer. A storm dropped a shocking surprise on Guadalajara. You'll see all that white stuff there. That is not snow. That's hail. And in some spots, it was between 3 and 6 feet high. Local government scrambled to fix homes damaged from the ice and clean up the roads as best as possible. Emergency crews reportedly had to treat at least 2 older adults for possible cases of hyperthermia. Better in Mexico than here, I'm sorry to say.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Something you're probably not going to see again, and can only imagine the damage out of some of that. Something like that, too. All right, well, we've got some thunderstorms, not all that widespread here the next couple of days, but the rain chances do ramp up a little bit toward the end of the week. That also brings down that temperature, highs in the middle 80s.
Kyle, thank you so much. Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Mark and Amanda tonight on the news at 11. Have a great evening.